Hold on, just, are you on?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Call meeting to order, 6:30. So the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
I have some. If I can find it, give me 1 second. Just as I'm looking for my notes on the minutes, just a quick note that we probably did not properly explain what this consent agenda thing as a term is confusing. The consent agenda is actually everything that we approve in a package, including the previous meetings, minutes, and all that. I apologize, it's something new to us as well. We just started doing it last year. So because the word agenda is there, I know that it just sounds like it's this one's agenda, and it's not. It's basically the warrants, anything like Dave's computer-related requests, disposal, acceptance, the school trips, and all that. So we include all that.
So it's just basically one big file.
It is a one big package that we approve all at once because they don't really require, in most cases, extensive discussion.
Okay.
But we do have the ability to pull something out if
We do.
choose to discuss
You're
it
right.
further. We want to approve all of this, but we have this one piece that we questioned. I don't think we've ever done that in our short time that we've used consent agenda.
That's correct.
So I think my question now, I proceed with this, since the consent agenda has this meeting's agenda in it and last meeting's agenda and the warrant are outside of that folder. Do we need to move that?
It's fine, it's on,
We can just say what,
Yeah.
if you can help us understand what should be in it,
Okay.
then we can approve it that way.
So my thought is it's going to be last week's agenda,
minutes.
warrant, yeah, in the minutes, and then Dave's, you have a technology item you want us to vote on.
Yeah.
So I think those three items should be considered in the consent agenda.
Yeah, I would agree.
Is there any way I would know the difference, considering I would think that Dave's technology donation would have been on this agenda?
That's where,
They're two different things.
well, that's where it gets a little bit,
So I think, Cheryl, you
So-
look at the agenda and the package, correct? Just, so I would expect that would
Yeah,
happen
so
then.
Jacqueline and I need to sit down and pull out, it's one agenda, and then the consent agenda is a portion of the overall agenda, and I've not explained that well. So when we build the agenda, the consent agenda portion should have the warrant, last meeting's minutes, and things that don't need to be debated or discussed, unless someone on the committee decides, I would really like, I have a question about that, and then they ask to have that put on, moved out of the consent agenda and then into the agenda. And I haven't been following, so I apologize, both to Jacqueline and the committee. When we build the agenda, we'll make sure that those pieces are on the consent first, and then there's no discussion, they just vote that.
and if I were to read through sooner in the week, or I didn't get a chance to look at the folder until this afternoon, to be honest with you, at that point, it was kind of, I probably could have moved it myself, but the last time I tried to move stuff around, I think I put it in a really bad place.
Yeah, I tried, but then it says that some people may not be able to see what's in the folder, so I decided not to. But I will make, as you described it, for the consent agenda, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
I second.
Second?
Okay. So I have some
Okay.
comments on, in addition to, so for our minutes, just because it's our record, I have a number of suggestions for edits, and I'm going to send you this file. But just for the record, I wanted to go over that unless, in case there are differing opinions. On the first one related to circuit breaker, that's basically, I think we're saying something like, I thought it looked like a lesser budget. It's actually a reaction to a letter that we received from the Triton School Committee, and their numbers made it look as if our budget may be short as it is approved. So I was trying to confirm whether or not that was the case, and Adam told us that as of that point, he was not seeing any issues with our circuit budget line item. On the East Meadow School project, I have a note here that says, Mr. Simpson's question was whether or not the line item related to the school building should remain on our agenda. And I think we all agree that we're at a point where we can wrap up, and until that point, we should probably keep it. And the update that I brought to the committee was that the warranty timelines were about to expire fully or had expired, and that I was going to reach out to additionally to see if there was anything that we needed to do, and I will speak about that later on. There is more than that here in my notes for additions. If the committee wants, I can read the entire thing that I have here. Maybe I should. So, Mr. Simpson asked whether this item should continue to remain in our agenda. Mr. Everin reached out to the project managers and received quick responses, and there's a mention that there were no responses. On the warranty timelines, all of which now expired, all work currently in progress will be completed. The MSBA did the checkout walkthrough, and the only issue identified is being addressed. Mr. Everin will reach out to the building committee chair to see when they can meet to wrap up the project and sign off. So that was my note on that one. The next item, the roof project, so that, again, if folks go back and look at our notes, the laying of the new roof will be completed before the start of the school year, but the mechanical aspects of the project will be handled throughout the fall season without interruption to instruction. As far as the superintendent's evaluation, I think the most important part was that the school committee's overall evaluation of Superintendent Cheryl Stanton's performance for the school year 2018-2019 is proficient. And I believe, unless I got, oh yeah, I have more. There's a note here that says started. So we, last year, based on Adam's info to us related to our food services budget, last year we had started with a negative number, correct? So we started, it didn't happen afterwards, just a quick correction on that one.
Yep.
Also on the committees, for the budget and finance subcommittee, it is Mr. Petrus and Ms. Millette.
Yep.
Okay. And there is, there is one where policy subcommittee, I don't know who really is on that anymore because we had so many names. But we can't have three people on subcommittees because that would constitute quorum, and any decision that the subcommittee makes would be binding. So I don't know who the names are.
Am I taking you off of group A? It's Mr. Petrus, Ms. Millette, and not you.
Correct.
Budget and finance?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
I just want to make sure.
In policy subcommittee, I don't know. We should go back and check out.
That was Jen and I.
Okay, so Jen and Jen are on the policy subcommittee.
Well, that's a little tricky because Jen was on Community Relations Subcommittee in trying to get the two meetings to run next. I
So you can
asked
add-
Mike,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you can add me to,
I added Mike to policy and left Jen
Okay.
on committee.
Well, I can see that it may be problematic, but we voted to have her on that policy subcommittee, then we should vote
Yeah.
to change.
That's what sort of this is
membership.
about, like,
Yeah.
how is this gonna work?
I'm not sure what is about.
The time.
The times.
The times and who's
Well,
on
you
what
know,
committee?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying tonight. I'm basically, I don't know if you had anything, but I think that's our testing. If it's not gonna work out, or we're not gonna be able to do it, then we're gonna have to figure it out. But until then, we voted those individuals. I just wanna make sure that the record reflects what we voted for.
We may need to re-vote, to change some members.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, there is no problem with that. That's all I have. And I'm gonna send this to you so that you can.
Thank you.
See, sure. Thank you, Mike.
So with the consent agenda with all these adjustments, do we change the motion to,
As amended?
yeah,
Yeah, please.
so if I get a motion to,
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
second,
I second.
okay, all in favor? Right?
Aye.
The minutes, are you voting in the minutes? Is that separate?
The
I
minutes,
wasn't,
yeah.
I wasn't at the meeting, so I would abstain from the
Okay.
voting on the minutes. It all looked good to me. It looked like it was a fun meeting, but sorry I missed it.
All right, so we have
you're not.
three yes and one abstain?
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is visitors' comments. Maybe Dave.
Well, we voted on the donation and consent agenda, and just a heads up, I'll probably have another significant amount of equipment that is going to be donated probably in the next 3 weeks.
Cool.
So can I ask a question on that? I mean,
You're the chair. You can ask a question.
You're in charge, Mike.
So I'm just trying to figure out how this all works in my head. You're going out and getting all the donations, which I think is great, but we're also buying all this equipment, and I'm trying to figure out how this all kind of works together. Like, who's getting the donated equipment versus who's getting the new equipment? How do we figure that out?
Well, at the high school, what we did last year, over the summer, was one of the computer labs that was being utilized for teaching some of the more advanced classes that had very significant hardware requirements. That room was totally rebuilt with purchased equipment. Likewise, the teacher laptops that were placed in, that were assigned to teachers at the high school, those were purchased. Another computer lab at the high school was totally rebuilt with donated laptops that are almost identical to the ones I'm going to be getting in a few weeks. Those were probably some of the best donations we received in terms of the type of computer it was. So to answer your question, we still rely a lot on donations, but I think with the new direction we've been going in with technology, is that we're using them in a more appropriate manner. For example, in the past, that's all we had was donations. So there were some areas, such as the computer labs that required higher equipment, that did not have the equipment they needed because the donations were not adequate. So now we're using the donations where it's suitable, and we're purchasing where we need higher end equipment, if that makes any sense.
It does. So unlike when this school was built, they went out and bought Chromebooks. Is that correct? And that was part of the building of the school, and that was all new. At the high school, you're not getting those.
Actually, we did. So, and thank you for bringing that up. We did purchase a lot of Chromebooks this summer for the high school, which was part of the plan. And that's an example of something that needed to get done that donations could not accommodate. The Chromebooks, that's a very specialized piece of equipment. It has a very long battery life on it, so when you're working properly, the student can, in most cases, use it all day without the battery running dead. Even the best of laptops, they get donated, you maybe get a few hours of battery time, and then they expire, so it would not be a piece of equipment that could be utilized all day by a student. And plus, they're bulkier, so it's not as easy for a student to, they're not as portable. So that's a very good example of something that we purchased because we had to purchase it to accommodate a very important need.
Is it fair to say that beyond the battery life, the purpose is different? Chromebooks are designated for educational purposes because we use Google and all that, the Google Files and other stuff that Google provides, Google Classroom. But there are other things going on in the school district that require a laptop or a desktop and all that. And your donations are helping on that side primarily. Is that fair to say?
They are helping on that side primarily, and that's another very good point, is that the Chromebooks probably will accommodate maybe 80% of what the typical student needs to do in school. The other 20% needs to be done on a traditional computer or traditional laptop, such as a computer-assisted drafting class, or a computer science class, or advanced applications, or project lead-the-way computer classes. Those need to be done on a traditional computer, and in some cases, a very high-end computer.
Okay, so that makes sense. I'm just trying to make sense in my head. If we're getting so much in the donations, why we had to spend so much this year? I mean, it's something that somebody might ask, why we had to spend so much this year, and put ourselves on a I think we have to figure out a way to retire and buy new over the next few years too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once again, I will not take a donation that we can't use. I always make sure it's something that is going to be useful to us. And when it comes to purchasing, I'm not requesting a purchase unless we absolutely need it. And when we do make a decision to purchase, we either go off the state bid or we go out to bid. We get the best price possible, so we are being very fiscally conservative. We went out to, looked at some prices on the Chromebooks, and two of the vendors that were approved by the state ranged between $68,000 and I think $71,000. We felt that we could do better going out to bid. I mean, we had every right to buy off the state contract, but we went out to bid. The bid price that came in was a little bit shy of $60,000. So we saved a lot of money by going out to bid. The teacher laptops that we purchased were significantly similar to the ones that were purchased for the building project for this building. But because they were devices that were slightly used, they were Dell laptops that were used in some corporation or somewhere, and then we probably on a lease program, went back, were recertified and have a new warranty associated with them. We got them for half the price of a new piece of equipment. So, we went about it in a very fiscally conservative manner, but we also made sure we got something that was appropriate quality.
Right. I don't want to give the impression that what we are receiving through donations can help us create a makeshift technology program. My understanding of it, when you decide to make an investment into technology-based anything, whether it's business or education, you look for certain specifications, and there is no guarantee what we're going to receive when we're receiving donations, what those specs are going to be, or the type of equipment that we are getting.
Or the frequency of...
Or the frequency to replenish or to even establish the program. So I completely understand your question, but I would not want anyone who's watching to have the impression that we could just get 3, 4, 5, from different locations and then create a technology-based curriculum that way.
It's a supplement is what it is. It's a supplement to what we need to purchase.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to make sure that was understood too. And moving on to new business. I think we did the technology donation already in the consent agenda. Fire suppression system.
Actually, was going to be bad news, but it turned out to be somewhat good news. So I'm not sure if you guys saw when you walked in. It'd be hard to miss, but Marion was doing some excavation out front. John Sullivan had noticed that we were losing pressure in the pump house for the water that supplies the sprinkler system in the building. Long story short, we called Marion. They came right away to try to figure out where the leak may be. They found 2 spots possible. One spot was over here by the canopy. They dug that this morning, didn't find it, so they went over here and they did find it. So the leak has been repaired. They were backfilling and cleaning that up as we were starting, and then the blacktop crew will be here by Friday to patch the parking lot, and all should be fine for the first day of school.
They just left.
And that's it. So that was going to be, we thought, a bigger problem than originally thought, but we're good. So we found the leak. It's good. It'll be repaired. There'll be no disruption, which we thought would be the biggest problem with first day of school and routing students here, but we're good. So it's fixed. That's it.
Is that considered part of any
That
warranty?
will be,
or-
that is ongoing. So
Okay.
that, John and I reached out to Tracy and Adam at Fontaine and Colliers. They're in the process of talking about it. Technically, we're out of warranty for this stuff, but it was kind of, I don't want to say catastrophic, but it was out of the ordinary, something to go wrong. So they are talking about it. The work had to get done one way or the other because, God forbid, there was a fire or anything, we needed to get it done. So Chris is also, I've kept him in the loop throughout the whole process. So at some point, we will talk to figure out who will be responsible for it. But that has not come up yet. We wanted to make sure the work was done. Marion got here right away, so we got the work done, and then we'll go forward with who will be responsible for payment. The tone I got from Adam at, I never really forget if he works at Fontaine or Colliers. Anyway,
Adam is at Colliers.
Colliers.
Yeah.
Even though we're out of warranty, they were going to try to work to see if it was something that they'd be able to cover. He didn't promise anything, but his tone was they'd work with us to make sure it was taken care of. So that's it. Good question. I don't have an answer.
No, that's good. Thank
That's the
you.
information that we have. But everyone who should be involved has been kept updated along the way.
Okay. So somebody have any other things I want to ask about that? All right, so the handbooks.
So the handbooks need to be approved by school committee. They are in your folder, and they have been updated, and I believe both have any revisions in separate color.
So I have a few comments on the handbooks. I think I heard Jim say something to that effect earlier, that the handbooks are long. And I understand that there are certain things that have to go there, so we can't always control the length that much. I'm just wondering whether there's an executive summary version of it somewhere for people to at least get the high level concepts and what the policies are and this and that, instead of having to read or to go through the whole thing. I'm not saying that it's an easy task, but something for us to think about going forward.
Well, when they started, it was 120 pages.
Oh yeah, this
so
this
they got it
always
down
has
to
been
80.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, to answer your question, no, there's not an executive summary, and I think we try with the table of contents
Yeah.
to list
I call it that, but it can be, it can be 25 pages, for instance, that I can read through and say, okay, I understand what the school is operating under.
Yeah, we can look into
Yeah.
what that would look like, because we try to do it with the table of contents, so because I think we would probably write a 15-page or 20-page summary, and then somebody would inevitably say, what about this? So with the table of contents, we try to make it really clear what you can find in there. Obviously bullying separate from discipline, the new attendance policies, things like that. All of those things are separate. But we can certainly explore a way to summarize it a little bit.
Can I make a comment here? My concern is if you condense something and change your wording or leave a piece out, that, because it's not as specific as it is, somebody's gonna find it and twist it. That is my concern. And the handbook is shorter than it used to be.
I hear you, but I think that's the beauty of law. It's always open to twist. That's why we have
I
lawyers,
agree.
we have courts, everybody's twisting it any which way.
I agree.
So, otherwise, yes, just, it's always a concern that we're going to leave something out, Robin. You're right.
And I do think it's long regardless, but I do think the discipline charts, the schedules that we've added, some other thing, add probably another dozen pages as well.
Takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
This.
Right.
So as I was reading through, like, one of the things that popped out at me is we're introducing a couple of sections, like a whole new set of rules or something. I just want to make sure that we're okay with that with regards to somebody trying to take us on court or something like that. This has to be vetted.
Which one are you looking at, Mike?
Were there any major changes over last year?
I'd say the 4 major changes were the attendance policy was updated, but the attendance that got put into place last year when DESI released the new accountability information in October and November. So some of that stuff we started working on right away. We've changed the junior high school personal electronics use policy.
That's the one that I'm just going to know, and that's the one that like if somebody were to say, I need this device because of X, like are we prepared to?
And I believe it's in there that says if there's a circumstance where it's required, whether it be medical or anything, we just need the documentation. But the idea previously was that, quite candidly, we were saying that cell phones in some ways were the best technology we have in the building, and that's no longer the case. 7th and 8th grade will be one-to-one, and they shouldn't need their cell phone for anything that they can't get on their Chromebook. And actually, and I said it in front of Finance Committee in the spring, the Chromebook allows them to practice MCAS and things that their cell phones didn't allow them to do.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we weren't going to open ourselves up to somebody saying you can't say that and you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in terms of cell phone policy, I think that's within the school committee's purview. The other things that were added were a mandatory tutoring for student athletes, but also opening up like a scheduled set tutoring 2 days a week that would be open to all, available to all students, and then Saturday school, one Saturday a month.
Yeah, can you talk about the Saturday school?
So it could be tutoring, it could be disciplinary, it could be earning seat time back to prevent.
I have, perfectly honest, I have visions of Breakfast Club dancing in my head with Saturday school. So it could be disciplinary, but it could also just be, how would that work for earning seat time back though? Like just-
Attendance recovery.
Attendance recovery, so the state says, like, basic, in a nutshell, if you earn half a day back, you can, if you were absent, you can mark it as a day that you're not, like, it wouldn't be considered absent. So we could mark it as attendance recovery, so.
So anyone can do that, or only if you reach that threshold of 9 or 10 days or whatever it
We
is?
would prefer anyone who reaches the threshold.
Okay.
We don't need anyone staying who's only been absent once or twice, but,
Okay.
and the way the attendance policy is written is the attendance recovery process, which is separate but connected to Saturday school. They could apply for attendance recovery if they've been absent 5 days, excused or unexcused.
Okay. and I just have to do it because this is my blind thing. What makes an absence excused as opposed to unexcused? Excused is with a doctor's note?
So excused versus unexcused, that is at a school or district level. The state
Doesn't,
doesn't care. If
Oh, okay.
If you have a doctor's note, if it's for a funeral, if you were
Okay.
in court, the state considers it absent from school. We can excuse it, which is why last year we instituted the application for attendance recovery. So a student could make that up, and then we can recode them as attendance recovered, which when the data gets pulled from the state, it doesn't look as though they were present, but that date was made.
oh, cool, all right.
Tangential, but that triggers a thought. Then when we're reporting to the state, we're reporting on pure absence then. Is that what it is? Not the excused, or there are no categories,
Yeah,
just
so we code it excused or unexcused, so it's absent excused or absent, doesn't say or excused, it just doesn't say absent unexcused. It's absent or absent excused, but when the state pulls that, they see it as the same thing.
Okay.
So when they pull from our student information system, it doesn't delineate for them whether it was excused or unexcused in our system. That's more of an internal record keeping.
But when we look at state level data that talks about absenteeism, exactly. So they're only looking at that as one kind of absenteeism,
They
correct?
look at absent, excused, absent, unexcused, suspended, anything time you're not in
Yeah.
school.
And it's all fine, but in terms of us understanding whether or not it is, the students just taking off and not ever letting us know versus us being aware of where they are and, why they are absent, I think it's a pretty important distinction to know, and I'm surprised that the state doesn't care about that.
Yeah, which we can do internally.
Right,
but
right.
Yeah, and they were very clear last year in all their information that
Yeah.
whether it's excused or unexcused, you're absent from school.
Yeah.
Can you recover suspended time?
No, typically, we have to provide services for students who are suspended anyway, so it goes in as they're still suspended, but we provide them services while they're out.
So if they're suspended, they're not in the class, but it's still not an absence because they're being provided services?
The state considers it an absence, but we also mark from the state that we're providing services.
Okay.
There's like a second click that we have to make.
So much fun.
The thing that hit me, I know I've been gone a while, but usually if something was changed in here, usually the handbook should have been approved much earlier before they go to print or whatever. Because what if we decided something not good right now? How do you change that now when school starts next week? Not that I
Really
disagree with
nothing.
anything, but
Yeah, really nothing's in place. We piloted the application for attendance recovery last year because the state didn't release the accountability data until October, November. So actually in 2017-18, we, along with every other district in the state, were rated on things that we didn't know the year before that we were being rated on, like chronic absenteeism, advanced coursework, all those things. So when that came out last year, we decided in October, November, and I can't remember, I think we came before, but I can't remember exactly, but we decided to try to be proactive and work out some kinks with that attendance recovery last year so that we could start this year with a system in place.
let's just think back in the past. Because I know a lot of the things are policies that are the same, the school district policies, no matter whether you're in first grade or 11th grade, but. Okay. Did the parents have to sign off on those still? After they've read it all?
Yeah, they have to,
And the only way they
do
get
their
it,
demographics, they mark if they want a hard copy or if the electronic copy.
otherwise they have to read through it just like we did. That's the expectation. How about even a first grade student? Same thing applies? Of course, they all check it off, but they haven't really read it until you need to use it.
Yes.
They don't want to read 80 pages. You good?
Yeah, thank you.
So
Yeah, you mentioned it.
yeah, the quick correction of.
Yes, I sent an email. I did see it, yeah.
Okay. Would you like your name to be Jennifer on this document or Jen?
Jen's fine.
Okay. So that's one thing. My big comment is this, and this is across the two handbooks. The mission and vision, we have two different visions and two different missions, neither of which align with our latest mission and vision. So very nice to talk about our strategic plan and just how important it is to us. I think that they should be aligned, that
Yeah.
everybody should see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I agree, and that's on our agenda for tomorrow with staff, but
Okay.
I don't know that it'll get in by then, but the thing about it being online is, once approved here, we can update it
Right.
in October to reflect any change to mission, vision, core values, those things that we're talking about. But I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
I think we have to vote on it, right? Okay. So do I get a motion to approve? Now, do we have to vote on it separately, or can we do? Okay.
I would do separately.
So can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the East Meadow Elementary School handbook.
Second.
Do all those?
I have
But I'm
I
just
have another
saying it
comment.
doesn't have the criteria.
So in terms of some of the
I'll take it.
in terms of some of the key elements, for instance, when you look at the elementary one, there is a calendar for the current school or upcoming school year. Should we consider what sections, what segments? This is for the benefit of the parents and students, right? What we call the school community. So I would assume that there are sections in these handbooks that have common types of information. And calendar, for instance, would be one. Maybe that would be one way of looking at it. What are those, commonalities that we can leverage? And then what are the critical ones? And rest of it, you said something earlier. I agree with that. If somebody wants to read more about some details of some policy, that's awesome. Just they can go and do it, especially because they're online. But what are those common things that we really want to convey to the parents and students? Maybe we can, going forward, not for this, we can maybe look at it that way.
It has been one of our goals is to unify them as much as possible, even though they are representative of different age groups of children. So for example, the attendance policy, much of the language is similar, except where it becomes more age appropriate to differentiate. So that has been our goal, and I think we can still do more work on that. So I agree.
Maybe bullying, that's the same in both
Right.
schools.
Yep.
Yep.
So I have some other thoughts and ideas of how we can shorten these, and I just wrote them up to myself. Maybe we can revisit this and have this on our agenda at some other point in time in the future. It's simply because I know we want to break into the subcommittees. And we can make updates to these once they're approved. We just have to vote in whatever updates before they go online, right? Is that how that would work?
Any changes? Yes.
Okay. But does that work for everybody? We can put this on the agenda for more discussion, like in a few weeks or so?
You sure?
Okay.
And just
Because I think these are long, and I myself have a few thoughts and ideas on how we can shorten this and maybe still have most of the information available, but just not maybe in this one spot.
Reduce the font to 8. That makes it, no.
So I'm playing catch up, but I know, you said you would make adjustments, but the vice chair is not even listed in the East Meadow one, and then Ron Jen in the
Yes.
high school one? Okay.
So it's being corrected.
All right.
Yep.
No, that's okay. She can have it, it's okay.
So I think we have a motion. and we
I
have a
second.
Second, and this is for the East Meadow. Now we're going to vote to approve. For those that are in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
and those that are opposed? Okay. And now the high school one?
Yes, so we have, oh, I'm sorry, high school, sorry, my bad.
I'll make a
Excited, huh?
motion to
I am.
approve.
Wow.
Did you have the staff listed in that one? Did I miss it? The staff wasn't listed in that one?
No, because he went right to for the daily
We
schedule.
didn't want to make it too long, so.
That's one of the most important things in the whole handbook, right?
I'm trying to think, because I know we
I
had
don't-
school committee, I don't think we had our full.
Your staff,
staff.
okay.
We can certainly, we can certainly.
I don't know how anybody else feels, but I think that's,
That's a good catch, I didn't even
Yeah.
think of it.
I go to the website.
That's where we,
okay.
So why wouldn't you have the calendar in that one as well?
I think the calendar is there, I think it's just last.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's the cover page at the end.
It's the back
It's the back cover.
So, yeah.
oh, you're making stuff up now.
I've probably seen 30 versions of this at this point.
So do you need a
So,
motion?
yeah, I think we need a.
I'll make a motion to approve the Granby Junior Senior High School Student Handbook to 2020.
I'll second that.
Okay, dude. So is there any other, so does anybody else want to talk about anything else before we vote?
Do we want to have them add the calendar and the staff to it? Or do we let it stand?
Well, since, we have 80 pages, I don't think 82 would
Yeah,
be
I-
that different, so let's just add
I
those.
could add those.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to vote as amended with the teachers.
Well, I think there'll be more amendments as well, right? Based on the vision, mission, and all that. And Stephen, you said that you were planning some time to review and then make updates online.
Okay.
Yep, so it is as amended.
All right.
And we'll add the staff and calendar before it gets posted.
Cool. Thank you.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. E-sports coach?
So we have a candidate who Ally would like to move forward. Went through the interview process, is very well schooled and versed in sports and gaming. Had an excellent interview, but per the job description, does not hold the credential for a degree. But the school committee may take a vote to approve that person if they feel that the degree is not necessary.
Can you remind us what that degree requirement was?
Bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And they feel that the experience the person has is better than the bachelor's degree?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Connected well with students, is already in the workforce, working hard. So Ally felt like it was a good fit for the position, but doesn't have the degree.
And so we would have to take a vote on that? And what would that vote look like? Just,
To approve the appointment of the eSports coach
is that without the degree?
without the degree.
Okay, so we have to stipulate that.
So I'll make a motion to approve the esports coach, waiving the requirement for a bachelor's degree.
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
I have a quick question. Do we know how many students, or is it too soon to know?
Still a little too soon to know, I believe, but
Too
it's...
soon, but, the coach came in last week and coincidentally, there was a group of ninth grade students there. I think 2 or 3 of them were all excited about it, a couple other, so I think it's too early to have a firm number, but I would say 10 to 12, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
And that may even be more than what Ally was talking about? Okay. Alright, good.
And just because we talked about it earlier, they'll be using donated computers. So Dave is going to set them up in donated computers. They won't
very
have to bring
excited
their own stuff in, but they're still our property, so they'll still be very specific guidelines on what and how they're used, so.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so the next piece is where we're gonna try to break up into our sub.
I have one more thing to ask because we talked about it last time. In fact, two things that I want to mention. One is we had talked about enrollment numbers, and you were going to put the numbers in the folder. I don't know if is it somewhere else, but it's not in last time's or this time.
Okay. I did not put them in this one.
Okay. So is it in the? I didn't see it in
Prior?
the old one either.
No.
Okay.
I'll put it in for the 10th. Or
Can
I
we put it
can
in-
put it
can we
in
put it in
for,
this one,
sorry,
please?
yes,
Okay.
yep.
The other one is, I think we talked about this a few times the last couple of years probably. It's something that I'm used to. Can we just think about creating a board that will keep us on track on certain things, like action
Yeah.
items
Yep.
and,
Yep.
expedite some of the conversation as opposed to,
Mhm.
going on and on forever?
If you have
I
a
can
good
take
example,
quick, yeah,
that
I
would be
can take a
great.
quick stab at it and send
Yeah.
it. The thing is, I don't know where to do it in Google environment. I know how to do it in Microsoft environment, whether it's OneNote or whatever it is.
Be a classroom or something?
Yeah, we
Let
can
me
do
just
it.
send you what I can
Yeah, send it and we'll see.
as a template, and we can choose the platform
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. Okay.
I have one question too. Is it okay to ask where we are with the roof? I know it's not on there, but I saw that they're still out there, and so we had some follow-up questions from last time, and since school starts next week, the questions were, what were the results of the tests, the testing that they did, what does the test cut mean? Are they still slated to be, scheduled to be finished, slated to be finished, however you wanna say it, on time for next, for the main part, just the gym open, and just where we are real quick on that before we get to our, because I feel like that's important to me anyway, and I apologize, I didn't catch that it was on, not on this, but I feel like we need to at least touch base on it since school starts next week.
Sure, so we meet every Wednesday morning. So they are on track as of last Wednesday. There has not been any change to my knowledge as of this afternoon. That the gym is going to take a little bit longer. They were doing a test for like how they adhere the membrane, and it failed, so they're looking at an alternative. But the roofing contractor and the engineer didn't anticipate any issue whatsoever with that. It was just they had to find another avenue. So I anticipate everything but the gym would be
Which we knew
set.
coming into
Yeah.
anyway, right? That's
Yeah.
scheduled for mid-fall sometime or something
Yes.
for completion.
And then ventilation and things, mostly it's all external things. There's electricity running to where all the ventilation will be, but some of the stuff was 6-7 weeks out when it was ordered 3 or 4 weeks ago. So once it does arrive, they'll just have to connect it. I anticipate full completion sometime late October conservatively.
Okay, and the test results?
Yeah, so test cuts are the ones that Steve were talking about, like how they were gonna adhere certain parts of the roof to however it was.
And so that was a pull test. The test cuts that they did were conducted in the spring,
Yeah.
April or May, and those look for asbestos or lead or anything
Okay.
like that. And there were no concerns. So there's not an abatement company working as part of it based
All
on
right,
the test cuts.
my concern's been right along for mold, if they were gonna test for that and where we were on that, so.
One thing came up last week was, because we're removing the skylights, there's some lead around the edges, and they had to drill 6 1/4-inch holes. And there was some question whether an abatement company needed to be brought in to drill these 6 holes. We got an email from Greenwood, who is the roofer today, and their safety inspector doesn't see a problem with it, is writing it up. And I think what they'll do for that is they attach like a vacuum to the end of the drill, and as they drill, it vacuums anything right up. But that's the only environmental concern that has come up. And they are in touch with, I think it's called Green Environmental, are the designer and the engineer in touch with Green Environmental, and anything like that that's come up.
So I have a suggestion, if it's possible. Since, this is a project that, that was voted a while ago at the town meeting with a lot of scrutiny and focus and attention to it, is it possible for you to come back every other meeting and just give us some update? Because this was extremely helpful. You gave us a lot of detail and answered everything very quickly, and it just, helped us. If it's possible, I would love to have that going forward until the project is complete.
Yep, and I'm here September 10th, I think already for something, so that's an easy one. And then at that point, we should have I'm hoping by then have a really good idea, so I could come back at the end of September and then another time in October.
Yeah. I mean, on top of that, I don't know how many folks are watching our meetings, but there is really no televised meeting of the roof committee either. If anyone's, curious about what the progress is, this is a good opportunity for us to share that as well.
And those meetings are all posted, so they're all open meeting. It's Wednesday mornings at 8 o'clock at the high school in room 100. So.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Anything else before we move on? Okay. We were going to try to break up into our new subcommittees tonight and try to knock off a few things. One is to try it out, see if it would work for us or what we need to do to make it work for us. Another was to kind of organize ourselves within these subcommittees. And I think the third thing, which is probably one of the most important things, is trying to figure out in some places what the subcommittee can try to do for this year. Not all committees are going to have that need. Policy one is really just trying to get through those, and I think we're just going to try to get through the ones that are outstanding still. But the one that stands out that we struggled with last year was the community relations one. We never really gave that group a mandate. I think we're thinking now, let's see if that group can try to come up with a mandate to work towards for the year that we can all look at the full committee. So the first thing I have to ask is, do we have to reorganize some of our subcommittees in order to make the schedule work for tonight? I think we brought that up. Pretty good point.
Right. So, maybe not, because if Emery is not on budget and finance, then the community relations can run simultaneous to budget and finance.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Policy would have to
And
wait
then
'cause Jen's
policy can
involved.
wait until the second round.
Yeah.
And if we didn't want to, policy could meet on a different day, if you didn't want to meet that,
Okay.
like, at that time of night, because it was too long. That means that, if you notice, I would not have to stay. I'm just kidding. I would then, I would go to community relations, if that would be okay. So Adam would stay on budget and finance, and then I could swing up to the,
So we're saying we'll do budget and finance and community relations at the same time?
yeah,
Yeah.
Sweet.
yeah.
And not do the third?
I think,
Wasn't
right.
policy almost like the least important one anyway?
yeah, policy was one that was probably gonna fall off, because once it's
Well,
done,
It's done.
it's just, I'm gonna bring new policy to you as MASC brings it up and writes it. We
I'm
have,
not even on it anymore, but we only
Yeah.
have two sections left, and we were getting
Well,
help
we
from.
were told that you are on it.
Yeah, you are.
That's, oh, so it's the wrong Jen.
that was me. That
Okay.
was, yep.
No, it's
So-
you and I.
While we're
Oh, okay.
do we have to every so often revisit everything like we did this time, or is this just a one-shot deal? Because I feel like we should probably revisit this like every X number of years to go through all all of our policies,
Right,
and make sure they're still in sync with, the MASC guidelines, right?
yeah. So I would say probably every 5 years you want to go through the whole policy manual, but if you're doing the updates regularly throughout the year, we shouldn't find ourselves where we found ourselves this time, which is trying to play catch up for a few years.
Okay.
We can just keep it sort of as a tickler, like, if something comes up, we can review it and then bring it forward to the committee for a vote, right? Just like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we still have to get those last two out of the way, too.
Right. Yeah, and those are big ones, student and
Isn't it J and K?
instruction. So the two big ones.
And.
But they have just been redone, so there shouldn't be a lot, but
And Judy Hool was gonna, give us some of the stuff that she had already started to work on, right? So that'll help too.
correct.
So how do we do this? Do we have to vote to suspend this meeting, to break up? the
Well,
meeting?
how did we post the committee meetings?
So we posted it as 5 in work groups, going into work groups.
So we
as an
posted 5
agenda.
separate meetings?
No, we posted it as Roman numeral 5 on the agenda
Okay,
to go into work group meetings.
so
and
as if it was part of our meeting?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so then we would just, we would split, break out into these and then come back to officially close the meeting.
Okay. So right now, something, we did start 45 minutes late, we're just gonna do A and B, and we'll meet for 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think our charge tonight is fairly limited, organized, so who's the chair and all that, determine that, goals for 2020, or not 2019, 2020. Is there anything else that we need to cover tonight as,
The only one is budget. Finance may have some things that have been left over
okay,
that haven't,
yeah.
but I would defer to Adam for
Yeah.
that.
So I have one question that if we can have some answer to that by next time, it would be great, which is community involvement in these committees. Is it possible to invite members of the community, if they're interested, to
Yes.
some of these, and maybe every month, once, or every other month, we make it a larger meeting to involve folks who are interested in contributing to some
Yeah,
finance conversation, technology conversation, community conversation, so we have more input from everyone, instead of us just, making all the decisions in isolation.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the community relations one is probably going to, or it wouldn't be out of the realm of what may happen, that they may vote to create another group.
I agree. I don't know what the rules are around it. That's why I'm wondering whether it's possible, or we have to create another entity to be able to meet and call it a work group or something like that, like the strategic planning work group.
I would consider it like a strategic planning work group.
So we have to create a separate
Yeah.
subcommittee almost
Right.
to be able to do that. Okay.
Now, in order to do that, would they need to make a recommendation back to the full committee? to
Yes.
vote on?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right,
Okay.
so.
And if I may, just make sure that you keep minutes in your, because we won't be on camera.
Right.
So we'll have to make sure that the minutes get posted so that people know what is being discussed at the meetings and the subgroups.
We just turn it off and then turn it back on when we do it to a.
Well, we're gonna probably go to different corners anyway, so,
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
yeah.
I just wanna make sure I'm catching up.
So we will break out with the intent of coming back
At,
to regular
say, 8:15
session.
or so.
8:15 at the latest.
Can't they just do it like it's
Okay, all right,
executive
Cool.
session? Say they're
But
not
don't
coming
feel
back to.
pressured.
all right. So do we need to recess, or how are we doing this?
I don't
Just- we're
think
still
we
on?
recess.
Okay,
I think we're
good.
just
Yeah,
moving
it's still
into a
interesting.
different
We
part
just,
of
you
the
know,
meeting.
yeah. All right,
And I think what I would do is for the next, is to make sure we have the room number and that we post that, so that
So
if
if-
anybody
yeah.
wants to be a part of, coming to any of them,
think
they
that's
would
a
know
great
where we
idea.
are. And,
With the understanding that these times are kind of flexible, like we aim to start at
Right.
6:30, but like tonight, it just.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
We
Yep.
got sidetracked.
Come here
Okay.
first.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Yep. Yep, if we're not in our room, we're here.
So I will
Yes.
pause us and then we'll come back.
From our breakout sessions. I'd just like a quick update from the finance subcommittee, as far as your organization, what you feel may be your plan.
So our chair,
Reaching-
go ahead.
We'll have the chair
I'm
do
the
it.
chair.
Okay.
Yep.
Reaching and setting goals that follow the strategic plan of the school.
Right. And for the community outreach,
I'm the chair, and we're going to have our, really try to work on getting the website set up, and formatted differently to have more community engagement. And then also, what else are we doing?
Well, we're
Creating a
road-
stakeholder
Yeah.
and a roadmap.
And a
We're creating a
roadmap.
roadmap so that it's clear what we're going to be doing the next couple of years. We just didn't want to limit it to 1920. But Jen, when they first started this committee, they had put together some ideas, and we're going to leverage that and put the roadmap, and then, as she said, website, communication with the town overall, and utilizing some of the channels like newspapers and TV channels that we're not necessarily using to their full extent. We're going to explore that.
because I remember last year, there was like a lot of layers to this. There was long-term, short-term, low-hanging fruit, hard-to-reach
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, that was all the work Jen and Jen had done, so we're not gonna waste it. It's gonna be used.
It was a good, I think, starting place, but we never really knew how we want to do it. So this time we'll be able to I think we'll pick a couple of the easier things that will help us in the long term.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the roadmap, because even if you're not part of the subcommittee next year, at least you've laid the foundation for the next group to come in and take it to the next place,
Yep. Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So anything else we want to discuss tonight?
No, I think that's it.
Right, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
No.